And even though we price our pads at probably about a 20% discount to the largest, to the nicest RV resorts, they're probably getting like 1,500 a month when we're probably getting 1,000 to 1,200 a month. The decreased turnover really impacts cash flow, and that accompanied with the decreased amount for need for staff, we're able to operate at close to a 60% operating margin with a much lower vacancy rate.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Ben Spiegel. He's a GP and portfolio manager at Redwood Capital Advisors, and since 2017, specializes in middle market commercial real estate, direct lending, and capital raising. Properties in numerous states, especially in the Southeast, is where we're going to talk about today and dive into a specific asset class that's definitely getting more attention than it has in a long time, or maybe I guess ever. But he's deployed over $500 million for various firms. Previously a credit analyst at DG Capital Management. Our guest today is going to tell us about what he says is one of the greatest opportunities of our lifetime, and I'm looking forward to diving in. He's become an expert in this space. Ben, welcome to the show.
Whitney, thank you for having me.
Yeah, honored to meet you and looking forward to the conversation and diving in. I know we want to get into some of your background, and I want to quickly dive into your specialty in this greatest opportunity, right, that everybody's going to want to know about. But man, Ben, getting into this space, give us a little bit of background and let's jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to focus on special situations, really, that are contrarian, that are off the run, niche, that a lot of people aren't talking about, where you could really try to get an asymmetric return profile. And one of those I feel is the luxury RV destination industry right now. Just a few fun facts that a lot of people aren't really aware of is the average age of an RV owner in the United States in the past 10 years has dropped from 62 to 32. On top of that, the average age of the existing RV destination is 40 years old. On top of that, 60% of pre-COVID office workers are now permanently remote. And to kick it off, finally, 450,000 new RVs were sold last year, but only 15,000 new pads were built. So when you throw those four fun facts together, you get the perfect storm for the ripe demand for new RV destinations, in my opinion.
That's some incredible statistics. I was trying to make some notes there. It's interesting when you think about even the average age of the owners going from 62 to 32. It says a lot about that space and even just what's changed over the last few years, right? And the majority of that's probably happened within the last 3 years, right?
Yeah, it's really post-COVID. Basically, a lot of it's all millennials now. Basically, they can't afford traditional housing. The average housing price in the U.S., house price has gone up to about $390,000, and with interest rates at 7%, a lot of millennials are choosing to, what I like to say, put their equity on wheels and live a more alternative, nomadic lifestyle. They're beginning to value experiences more than materialistic items like they did in the past. And the post-COVID environment is enabling them to do that.
What are some of the, and I just want to jump right into this, but some of the risks of this asset class that maybe we wouldn't typically think of?
Absolutely. So like I said, their equity is on wheels. So unlike traditional real estate where people are entering into long-term leases, people in RVs, they could leave at any time they want. And so you do have a much higher turnover than traditional real estate. And what I specialize in my firm, Redwood, specializes in with our joint venture with EOB Consulting, is we only do new construction. We don't buy existing RV destinations. So we're only building, we're buying land, but the best thing about RV construction is it's not vertical. It's only horizontal. you're dredging, you're laying plumbing, you're laying fiber, electric, and the only vertical structures that are being built are the clubhouse or the gym. You're doing some pickleball courts, and we always like to incorporate RV and boat storage into our RV destinations because a lot of times you have the snowbirds from the Midwest that come down during the winter. And if you can build a destination that's luxurious enough that they like being at enough, they don't want to haul their RV to and from their home. They don't, it's aesthetically unpleasing to leave in their driveway. So they'll pay you year round when they're not even there to store it. And then you get a customer for 12 months out of the year. So we always like to incorporate the storage aspect into our destinations.
Love that, and thinking of the obviously numerous sources of income as well, right? And getting that client 12 months as opposed to 2 weeks or a month or whatever it may be that they're staying somewhere, including the RV and boat storage. And even thinking about it's all horizontal and nothing vertical. Man, that sounds a lot better than some development projects, right? It's a lot of brain damage as it comes along with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I've done ground up construction of multi and commercial as well, and projects can take 3 to 5 years. And within luxury RV destination, the construction time is probably a maximum of just 12 months. And I want to specify that there's really two main types of RV destinations that have popped up in the past 10 years. You have resorts and communities. Resorts are usually located near some type of main attraction like Disney World, or they're on the beach. They usually have a lot of amenities. They're nice, but the problem with resorts is your average stay is usually only 3 to 5 days. So you have a lot of turnover. And on top of that, because you have so many amenities, you have to have a much larger staff to oversee the destination. So your OpEx is much larger than compared to a community that I'll get into next. And so you're probably only operating at probably a 40% operating margin compared to a community at 60. So we at Redwood, we only build communities. So we still have all the amenities that a resort would have, but we're probably located about 30 to 45 minutes away from that attraction. Or we really only build in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and we try to stay about 30 to 45 minutes away from the Gulf Coast. And basically, the difference is our average stay is between 60 and 75 days. So we have people that are choosing to stay with us for much longer periods of time. And even though we price our pads at probably about a 20% discount the largest, I mean, to the nicest RV resorts, they're probably getting like 1,500 a month when we're probably getting 1,000 to 1,200 a month. Just the decreased turnover really impacts cash flow, and that accompanied with the decreased amount for need for staff, we're able to operate at close to a 60% operating margin with a much lower vacancy rate.
What's the draw to your properties versus the ones 2 or 3 miles down the road?
So basically, the average age, as I said, the average age of the existing RV destination is 40 years old, and 90% of the industry is still mom and pop owned. So basically, they don't have the necessary CapEx to upgrade their facilities to the level that the millennial generation of RV owners needs. And so what I mean by that is most RV destinations can't even offer cell phone service or Wi-Fi or even safety or quiet, let alone a luxury pool or pickleball courts or a gym with Pelotons in them, a game room, amenities such as that, or a community house, or farm to table dining and spa services. You know, we're basically a hotel just without the hotel. You bring your room.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, you can think it through those amenities, farm to table restaurant, some of those things that you wouldn't expect, right, at the typical RV park, or maybe the way we thought of RV parks 5, 10 years ago, right, is very different than today.
It's no longer the 62-year-old lower middle class individual. It's really it's
The
vast
quote
majority is
retired couple,
exactly
right?
75% of our occupants are under 40 years old, and are working. They're in IT. They're in a myriad of. They make the vast majority claim they make over 100 grand a year. So they do well, and they choose to live this lifestyle. And a lot of them could probably afford other alternative housing options that they just want to live an experiential lifestyle where they can experience different parts of the country as they please.
Yeah. What about um, a deal example? Yeah, something recently you could
Yeah, of
walk us through.
course. Yeah, so the interesting thing about RV destinations is they qualify for a very unique loan program under the U.S. Department of Agriculture that's not really widely known. It's a rural loan program, but basically it gives you a very large competitive advantage because basically the U.S. Department of Agriculture will lend 75 to 80% loan to construction cost for a 12-month construction loan that immediately upon completion converts to a 25-year amortizing credit facility at a below market interest rate. So you have to remember, so for right now, like for example, in Mobile, Alabama, we're in contract on 40 acres for about $1.3 million, or about a little over 30,000 an acre. And good luck getting a bank or a bridge lender to lend you the amount of money you need to build, which in this case, our construction budget is just about $15 million. We're doing 300 pads, and a good rule of thumb for a luxury RV destination, amortized all in, I'm talking the pool, the gym, everything all included for each pad is about $50,000. So 50,000 times 300, you get the 15 million. And what's so unique about this industry is, and so attractive and really unbelievable, is that immediately upon completion, those pads are worth between 90 and 130,000. And I know that because that's what we're currently, you can condo them out individually and sell them. And
Hmm.
we're doing that right now in Mobile, Alabama, at some of our other destinations that we've built in the past. We have this destination in Theodore, Alabama that we built. We bought the land about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. It took about 6 months to get the permits, another 12 months for construction. And basically, we've produced about a 2.5x equity multiple, and we're putting off double-digit free cash flow yields. Our 12-month prepaid forward occupancy rate, so not even accounting for calls that are coming in on a daily basis, is over 90%. So 90% of our pads are booked and prepaid for the next 12 months. It's pretty phenomenal. It just goes to show you how much demand there is for this type of destination or product offering, and that's really not available being offered in other RV destinations in the market.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite interesting to think about building a place like that, and I'm just in my mind, I'm comparing it to multifamily, right? Like, oh my goodness, and speak to that a little bit. Maybe some of the differences between a park like that or community like that versus the typical multifamily conversation that we would be having or that everybody's been having, like you and I discussed, for the last 10 years.
Yeah, so what's really interesting and why RV destinations are so attractive compared to traditional multifamily is there's no repairs and maintenance. It's the RV is the tenant's problem. It's their RV. So if something breaks, something goes wrong with the RV, it's not your dime. It's not on your budget. So basically, you have very little repairs and maintenance expense, and that makes your management a whole lot easier. And basically, on top of that, uh, in my opinion, you own the land. You just own the land, and that's about it. And you are able to get incremental revenue by entering into relationships with repairs and service providers, and you could do absolutely nothing and give them an exclusivity agreement on all repairs and maintenance jobs in the park, and take 25% of their revenue just for offering them the exclusivity agreement. So there's another revenue stream for you right there.
Wow. Yeah, my family and I just probably 2 years ago started doing some camping, and we've really enjoyed it. Like we had never had done that before, and so I could understand why people are enjoying, especially luxury places like you're talking about.
And I want to emphasize that it's really the difference is the word luxury. These are not what you think of when you think of a normal RV destination. They're beautiful, they're well manicured, they're well landscaped. The buildings are gorgeous. Instead of there's no building, you bring your own you bring your own destination. You come and you go on it, and sometimes you leave it in our storage center year round. So I just think that there's just a myriad of benefits between the USDA loans that I was discussing before and the accelerated depreciation that comes with the construction dynamic. Basically, you're able to write off about 75% of your construction cost in year one, accelerated, and then that net operating loss carry forward carries with you for the pretty much your entire cost of ownership till you sell. So you're not really paying really any taxes on your income, which really boosts your after-tax IRRs. We, for our investors, shoot for in about a 4-year hold period, shoot for about 23 to 24% levered IRR and at least a 2.1x equity multiple over a 4-year hold.
Wow. Yeah. Speak
And
to,
also,
or
I
go
just
ahead.
and this led me to, and also the numerous monetization options. Like I said before, not only you don't have to rely on selling the entire destination. If you want to, you can condo the pads out and sell them individually. Is a big demand for people that will buy that little chunk of land, and they'll pay you 120 grand for it, and they'll have it year round, and sometimes they'll only use it 2 months 3 months out of the year, but they want to have it, and banks will finance it. You can partner with local regional banks, and they will give seller financing, and basically and you're able to generate even more revenue that way by getting fees from the bank.
I've seen people doing that, even places we've camped where they put tiny homes, in places, that were RV spots and selling them or even just Airbnb them as well.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because we always our ratio, we usually put about 10 to 15 of our pads we build luxury cabins on, because a lot of times you have families that come down and they have friends or extended family, and not everyone can fit in the RV. So it's always good to have a little bit of an incremental living option for the guests, or sometimes if they want to upgrade and they want a night, they want a little bit of a nicer living arrangement or a bigger living arrangement for a certain amount of time, and we're able to charge about 2,000 to 2,500 a month for our luxury cabins. The luxury cabins, they cost probably about between 110 and 120,000. So they're significantly, obviously more expensive than just building a pad, but and that's not our main business. We do that really just out of necessity because it increases retention and increases your occupancy rate. I mean, overall, it just brings your amortized pad count higher, but it's still overall worth it in a cost benefit analysis,
Yeah,
in
I
my
could see
opinion.
us, like renting a spot for to camp, right? But then having more family, we want to come for at least part of the trip or something. That'd be a perfect option, right? And then they're close, right? We still get to enjoy those same amenities together as opposed to them staying off site somewhere else.
Oh, they're right next to they're usually in their own little section, but they're right on the destination, all in walking distance. And we in our destination, we put a big emphasis on uh, putting our pads making them larger and putting them at a farther distance than most. So most RV destinations are really right on top of each other. We try to target at least 15 to 20 feet of space between each pad. And sometimes we even put privacy walls up, individual storage solutions for each pad. And even our newest destination, where we're going even more luxurious, each is going to have their own grill and outdoor refrigerator with the patio and a sunshade option. It's really where the industry is going is very interesting. And in my opinion, there's just such a large supply demand imbalance, and the need for an affordable vacation like this compared to a more traditional option like staying at a hotel is you're spending, one tenth the price.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
I
I just see
definitely
the
appreciate the larger space. I tell you what, it's so hard to get in and out sometimes. I mean, it's so tight.
Well, it's
Uh,
funny you say that because since the average age is 33 years old, 60 to 70% of new millennial RV owners admit to not being able to back up their pads or
mm.
back up their RVs. So that's why we meticulously design our destinations to have the majority of pull-through sites. And so they don't have to even worry about backing up.
What's the biggest hesitation you hear from investors, or they're, hold off to investing in an RV park?
So there's always a little bit of hesitation about construction when you're not buying an immediately free cash or a cash flowing asset. That's always a one of the main hesitations. And I'd say on top of that, also really, how do you quantify that the demand is going to be there for a site that's 300 pads? How do you know that where you're building it can accommodate that? And basically, my partner, my JV partner, he's one of the top feasibility consultants in the country. So if you buy a piece of land and you want to build an RV destination, he's the guy you call, and you pay him a fee, and goes to wherever in the country you are, and about a week later he spends a week at your property, and then you get a 50-page report a couple weeks later, and it basically tells you whether or not you should be building an RV destination there, and if you are, how much money you're going to make. And he'll go to the bank with you, help you get a loan. So yeah, he is crucial in our operation, and he conducts all our feasibility analysis for us. And so what we do is we take a 30-mile radius, and we look at every single RV destination within that 30-mile radius. And what we like to see is, regardless of the quality, we need to see at least an 85 or 90% occupancy rate at every single destination within a 25 to 30-mile radius. That's number one. Number two, we need to be within 10 miles of a Walmart, because Walmart, in my opinion, has the most advanced population statistical analysis in the country in terms of where they pick to put their locations. So if you are within 10 miles of a Walmart, you know that you're in an area that at least is seeing some type of population growth, or at least this population is remaining steady. And then thirdly, you want to be in an area that's close to the highway. You need to be highly accessible. So you don't want to be more than a half a mile or a mile from the highway, a major transit route. So our newest destination, which is called Homestead 2, which is in also all of our destinations are in Mobile, Alabama. Basically we're about under zero point 0.1 miles from I-10, and about 0.2 miles from I-60. And I-10 sees about 85,000 vehicles each day, and the other highway sees probably about 65,000. So we pay a lot of attention to the amount of traffic that's going each way. And then we also, of course, pay consultants and get industry reports to see how the RV industry is doing in that specific location in terms of dealership sales and just overall traffic of RVs going through certain, checkpoints.
Yeah, no, I love those. Just a list of those things, like you just mentioned, even as an investor, just to think through, as a passive investor, hey, are these things checked off right before I invest in that RV park, especially as it's really a newer known asset class anyway to the broad spectrum of investors, right? It's not as commonly known or talked about, like you and I mentioned, as multifamily. So that's some great things to consider. That Ben, shifting gears here just a little bit as we're getting close on time. I always get asked this, so I love to hear from guests and experts like yourself. What's your expectations or predictions, right? Over the next 6, 12, 18 months in the real estate market? You can be specific to RV parks or just in general, either one.
So I think well, I'll start RV destinations in the Southeast, I think are going to continue to flourish. I honestly, I don't think we're in for a soft landing like a lot of other people think we are. I think that the odds of us entering a recession are probably a little bit higher. I don't think rates are going to come down as quickly as people think or are talking about. And basically, I just think that there's a huge gap in the market for affordable housing in general, and or just affordable vacations or affordable stays. And especially in the Southeast, which has really two things that nowhere else in the country has, which is power and water. Like you can't build a factory in most parts of the country anymore because they just don't even have enough water. The Southeast is seeing a huge population migration, a huge wealth migration. I mean, for Alabama, for example, the Deepwater Port of Mobile, it's one of the only deepwater ports on the Gulf, and it's actually bordered by a county called Baldwin, which has been the fastest growing county in the United States 3 out of the past 6 years. And it's at the point where its utilities are at capacity. And what that is, it's resulting in a spillover effect. So you see just all that development, which is Baldwin is contiguous to Mobile and the most southern part of Alabama, right between the Panhandle and Mississippi. You just see a lot of that growth coming into Mobile, and it's Mobile is it's a little more dense than other parts of Alabama, so those USDA loans are much harder to get. So we've strategically snapped up most of the land that qualify for those USDA financings. So we're confident that we're not going to be seeing too much new construction competition, just because it's really without those loans, it's unfeasible to build. But just to finish off on regular multifamily, I think that like a rising tide lifted all boats the past 8 years. When you could borrow at 80% LTV and a 3% interest rate, it's not too difficult to make money. But I mean, I'm doing a multifamily deal right now where I'm about to close, and my market interest rate was going to be 6%. I got a call from the bank. They're implementing a bank-wide policy that they're putting a new floor in at 7.
Hmm. Wow.
Just it's getting more difficult and more difficult to make money in traditional multifamily, even though inflation's high and rents continue to climb in a lot of areas of the country. It just the cost to renovate, the cost to repair and maintain is just going through the roof.
Yeah.
Taxes are going up, insurance is going up, your expenses are going up 10 to 20% a year. So if you can't keep pace with that with your rent growth, you're looking at negative operating leverage. And now, especially that cap rates really haven't increased remotely to keep pace with interest rates. Normally, we were buying at a 6-7 cap and borrowing at a 3-4, and now you're maybe buying at like 7.5, but you're borrowing at 6. So that 300 basis point spread is now down to 150 or 100 bips. And then you really need to rely on increasing the rents really quickly. And if that doesn't happen, you're gonna have to, it's going to result in capital calls and unhappy investors. And
No doubt
I
that's
think
why this is pushing a lot of people to look at other asset classes, right? Like RV parks. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Ben,
And I think
what's your best advice for passive investors right now?
to be very patient with your capital. Your capital is the most precious thing in the world. I would really try to hold out for unique, special situations where there is some type of dynamic in play that is giving the sponsor a really strong competitive advantage with that asset specifically, not just necessarily betting on a growing market or rising rents around the country, something very unique to that asset that makes it extremely undervalued, and where the sponsor has a clear, defined pathway to creating value there.
Ben, how do you like to give back?
So I volunteer at a local center for children that are underprivileged, that don't live with their parents anymore. And I also I give to many charities, and but I'm a mentor at it's the Pleasantville Cottage School. Actually, it's about located. I'm in Greenwich, Connecticut, so it's about 30 minutes away from me. I've been doing that for about 10 years, and I also teach them a little bit about financial literacy and try to help them when they get out of there learn how to manage their finances a little bit better. So like
That's
to give
great.
back in that way.
Well, Ben, I'm grateful to have met you, had you on the show, and appreciate you diving into really this asset class that's coming to the surface. It's been around a while, I think, but not in the luxury space as much as it has become over the last few years, right? And so grateful for just you diving in and showing us many things that, yeah, especially as a passive investor, that we need to be thinking about if we're going to invest in this space. Thanks again. Tell them how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely, Whitney. I appreciate that. We're Redwood Capital Advisors. Our website is www.redwoodcapitaladvisors.com. Our Instagram handle is Redwood Capital ADV. We're on LinkedIn, and we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And you go to my website, and I've Calendly, just book a time to speak with me. I enjoy speaking with any interested real estate party, whether you're an interested investor or not. I just love talking about the industry. I love conversing about new ideas, and it doesn't matter what your intentions are. I'll enjoy taking your call.
Thank you for being with us again today. I hope that you have learned a lot from the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you're telling your friends about the Real Estate Syndication Show and how they can also build wealth in real estate. You can also go to lifebridgecapital.com and start investing today.